Very excited for this evening's program. First, a little bit about Windbound. Yes, we are the sponsor. We do we do content marketing for specializing in small marketing departments and really focus on manufacturing and industrial clients. And part of the content marketing process is to collaborate with other producers and influencers and experts. So it's only natural that we would sponsor an event like this where we collaborate with experts in the field. And one of the fellows who taught me about that in terms of content marketing was Andy Crestodina. I moved down to Chicago. I lived in Chicago for a couple of years with my wife and my daughter. And Andy was one of the first guys I met down there. And I was really blown away by his presentation and how knowledgeable he was in content marketing. And, but I was also really taken by how, when we chatted, he invited me right away to one of his events. And the event was Wine and Web, which still holds at his Orbit Media at their conference room. And so very informal gathering, people get together, have pizza and wine and talk about things like we do at Craft Marketing. So immediately when I moved back to Madison, I'm like, I am totally ripping off that idea. And we you know, we're in Wisconsin, so we went with the beer theme. But you know, so the roots for Craft Marketing, you know, kudos go to, and much of the attribution goes to Andy. So very excited that he agreed to join us here tonight. And I think you're going to be in for a treat. So Andy and Orbit, it's a web development firm in Chicago. They produce fantastic websites. Andy could probably give you some stats on it, but he's one of the more knowledgeable speakers on content marketing that you will find on the planet. And I believe that is not hyperbole. So without further ado, I'm going to let Andy chat with you tonight. And thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you for that. What an honor. It's going to be tough to live up to it. I just hope to be useful. I don't know that this is going to be like a exciting presentation. This is about analytics. We all signed up for an analytics presentation, so that's what's about to happen. But I do love this topic. I love teaching. I've been doing analytics and teaching it for a long time. I started using analytics prior to Google Analytics. There was a precursor tool that they acquired. It was called Urchin. So this is like 20 years ago. It wasn't long after we built our first websites that I realized I needed to understand how to measure results, needed to prove ROI, needed to see what was working, needed to validate ideas and, you know, run tests and things like that. So I'm going to start with just this basic understanding of there's a hierarchy sort of inputs that we have as marketers. And I really try hard to be aware of my own biases and to resist the temptation to express any preferences. A good meeting for me is a meeting where I don't ever mention my own opinions because my opinions are not statistically relevant. They're just not that valid. They're just not that important. Far better is to at least apply best practices, which are things that maybe we've all learned from experience or we've seen work well for others. But those are limited because they worked for other people and they worked in the past. They don't necessarily indicate what's going to work next for us or what works in the magical combination of our content and our design and our audience and their information needs. Analytics is far better, and that's what we're talking about today, which is just like Google Analytics or any of the other tools. When you spell it with a capital A, you're probably talking about the Google product. When you spell it with a lowercase a, you're talking about this giant family of tons of other products, Hotjar and many other things. A/B testing is, of course, the ultimate source of actually all human knowledge. This is the scientific method of how we learn things, right? Just to validate that something worked, test the negative, see if you can add insights. So this is an understanding that I have actually only more recently and something I've been thinking a lot about and learned from Brian Massey. He says, best practices are really just good hypotheses. Did I misspell that? That should be an ES. A best practice is just a hypothesis. Every idea is just a hypothesis. Every idea you've ever had should actually be, you know, implemented and then validated or see if it made a difference or check to see if it made a difference. So our structure today is going to be for that, aligned with this. And then big picture, what we end up finding is that some things work better than others. Some things work much better than others. This is kind of a joke slide. It's a video that I think tells the story well about what works and doesn't work in content. This is like a two teams. I showed this, Greg's probably seen this. The red team versus the blue team. The blue team is a good content marketing program or a content strategy. The red team, they're really just kind of flooding the zone. The blue team is aligned. They are strategically focused. They're like good communicators. They barely waste any effort, right? Like every kick is perfect. These guys have like 10 goalies. Do you think that's going to help them? It doesn't matter how much crap you put out there. If it's not effective, there's no amount that will save you. No amount of quantity will overcome bad quantity. But this is relevant because some things are so much more effective than others, like 10x or 100x. There's really no comparison. And we don't have time to waste just doing stuff that doesn't really work, or throwing stuff against the wall, or trying things and not checking to see if it made a difference, if it worked, if there was a measurable impact. And I don't have time to do those things because of her. That's Ada. She's bigger now. She's about to turn 3. I could find a more current picture. My kids, I'm starting them early. I'm getting them all trained up. I want them to be good, solid, data-driven marketers, understand measurement. That's obviously another joke slide. He tried to eat this book right after this picture. So ultimately, if it's all just hypothesis, we take an action and then we can see if it worked or not using analytics. I'm going to show you a bunch of use cases. And then if it didn't work, just go try something else. Or if it did work, did it make a big impact? Small impact? Great. Now go try something else. But if you did find something that made a big impact, if you found a blue shirt in your marketing, double down on that and go big, right? Maybe stop doing a bunch of other stuff and focus on this, because every chart I've ever seen in digital marketing is an exponential curve, because the top 1% get a ridiculous outsized performance, right? 1% of YouTube videos get most of the views. 1% of Twitter accounts get most of the engagement. 1% of your web pages on your own site get most of the views, right? Or the top 5 pages on in any analytics account will show you that just a disproportionate percentage of results, of page views, of conversions, of traffic, right? This is just always seems to be true. So Larry Kim, who's a famous marketer, ended up selling the company he founded. It was called WordStream. He uses the metaphor, everything in your marketing is either a unicorn or a donkey. And your job is to go find unicorns and then go make baby unicorns. Hey, that topic worked as a blog post. Let's make it a video, et cetera, et cetera. But with that in mind, we need to use the analytics to find those outperformers so we can double down on those things and maybe stop doing other things. That's basically what I'm using analytics for at all times. I almost never do any reporting in general. I'm only going to it to find answers, which is my framework for you. And my ultimate hope is that you embrace this idea of use analytics for analysis. I don't want to do any reporting. I don't like to do reporting. It's not reports don't affect marketing. Only actions do. And the best actions are made based on evidence and insights. We get those evidence and insights from analytics. So as an example, which blog posts are getting seen the most? Now I put these little emojis in here. If you publish content, this will be helpful. If you don't, it will just be maybe interesting. It won't be useful. So in each of these little things I'm going to do for you, I'm going to start with these 2 icons to give you a tiny guide to, of course, not everything is relevant to everyone. Problem with presentations is that there's people in the room for whom there'd be no relevance. That's my idea, is to try to help you understand if this is helpful to you. So in this report, analytics is organized A, B, C, as Kyle showed you: acquisition, behavior, conversion, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. So the question, which blog posts are getting seen the most, is going to be in the behavior reports, behavior, site content, all pages. So my presentation, which I'll give to you as soon as we're done, is going to follow this little framework where you see the question, and I'm going to show you where we find the answer, and literally show with callouts where to click. So filter for blog, click the comparison view. Look, it's one of those curves I mentioned, right? The most popular blogs get 15,000%, talk about a blue shirt, 15,000% more traffic than the average post on this website. I like to switch the views up over here. There's the data view, the pivot, the pie chart view, bar chart view. The comparison view is fun because it compares it to the site average. You could choose any metric from this dropdown. So then my tips for the takeaways: is everything up to date on those pages? Those are the hardworking pages. An improvement to that page will have 15,000% more visibility than the average page on your website. If you've got 10 minutes to do marketing this month, go work on one of those pages. Could you improve any of those with video? That video is automatically going to get a ton of views. Do any of those have good internal links to guide people deeper, right? Or good calls to action to get people to do something? So that was just a warm up. But what we're going to do is ask a question, find the report with the answer in Google Analytics, form ideas and hypotheses, and then go take action. That's what we're going to do. And then did the action work? Well, that's another question. You could ask that question and then go through the exact same process of continual improvement. It's a philosophy of continual improvement. Here we go. I'm going to jump in. I'm giving myself permission to move a little quickly because this is recorded and we can go watch it again and again, or you'll get the slides. Just click through. They literally show you exactly where to click in analytics to find each answer. So this is going to be, we're going to move quickly so we have time for Q&A. And I'm embarrassed. There's literally 200 slides in this presentation, but it'll go fast. What are my visitors clicking on? Great question. Can analytics answer that? Yes, it can. Especially relevant to you, you've got a big navigation menu with a bunch of stuff. If your navigation menu has just a few things, probably they all get clicked on a lot. Example, mega dropdown. These are called mega dropdowns. Wow, there's like 60 clickable items on this page. What are people doing? In that all pages report, same place. If you click to go to the home page, for example, it's one of the top pages. Now you can see the report just for that page. Hey, Andy, why'd you send me here? It's the same report with just one row. Yes, but now if you click on the navigation summary, look at that. Brilliant, awesome report hiding in plain sight. One of the most useful reports in analytics. I know very few people that ever click on it because it shows you what people are doing. Granted, I'm biased. We do web design, so I'm very interested in this report usually. I want to measure the performance of the navigation we just implemented for whatever company. Click on that, and it shows you what people did. This is that page. 84% of people came to this page as that was the first page. 15% came from other pages. 70% left without clicking on anything else. The people who continued on did these things. Features, pricing, contact, careers, about us, get free trial. And you may quickly realize that the things people click on the most are not the biggest, most prominent things. Sometimes big things get missed, little things get clicked a lot. But I just turned analytics turns your website navigation into like a poll. You're surveying your audience to find out what they really want from you. And you can improve things. You might be surprised by this. It's common for people to not do the thing we expected them to do, right? Oh, I made this cool slide. It's a curvy slide. It's so fun. The kids are going to love it. No, they don't. That's not what they want to do. It's not about us in the end, right? It's about what they want to do. So ask yourself, are little things getting clicked a lot and are big things getting missed? Or are your calls to action effective? This report literally will help you measure the performance of your calls to action. If you've never measured the performance, sometimes you can get better results just by changing one word in a CTA. Verbs. People often ask me, Andy, will you please review my site? I'm happy to. I'm looking at a site. I'm looking at verbs. Are these verbs interesting, compelling, specific? If not, a change to a verb can make a big difference. What gets clicked a lot? What never gets clicked? So this is, so takeaways might be to remove things that never get clicked because they weren't that important anyway. They were just adding visual noise. Or to, if something is important but not getting clicked, maybe just change it to try to improve the click-through rate. That report shows you the click-through rate for everything. That's another way to say it. Everything that you take away makes everything that's left easier to find, more visually prominent, right? This is visual hierarchy is not just, how big it is or how colorful it is. It's about how much white space there is around it, right? People want clean, modern design. That's how to create a clean, modern design. Websites, in fact, get old and rusty and need to be redesigned because people don't have the discipline to remove something before they add something new, right? Your visual noise, it's a problem. Moving right along. Which of my emails generates the most engagement? Yeah, we send a lot of newsletters and they've got calls to action in them. No, we don't really do email marketing. If you send emails and you're not doing this, you've got a big opportunity. Email like MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, whichever your it's called email service provider, whatever your email service provider is, will give you things like, did the mail get through? Was it opened? Was it clicked? That is not engagement. That's just engagement on the email. That doesn't tell you what happened on the website. All the website metrics, the actual visits from those, did they bounce? Did they spend a lot of time? Did they see a lot of pages? Did they take an action? Nonprofit sends, Black Friday fundraising email. Did that work? Did people click? Did people actually donate from the email? You don't know unless you add this tiny bit of duct tape. It is called campaign tracking code, and it makes it easy to track the percentage of people who people come to the site. If you don't add campaign tracking code, your email visitors are hiding all over the place. If they came from an email app, they're direct traffic. If they came from webmail, they might be just referral traffic. They're kind of disguised. If you track it properly, this visitor lands here. They're actually, there's a separate default channel grouping. This is the default, this is the all channels traffic report. I've just come here and switched to the pie chart view. So there your email visitors are. How do we get that? If you guys are pro email marketers or you're an agency and you do this for clients, you've done it for years, just steal these slides if they're helpful in teaching this to someone else. If this is new to you, cool. So this is a link from, this is an email we sent. This is a link from the email to our website. Click on this link, you land on a web page. That web page has a bunch of stuff at the end of the link. If you pay attention to these, you'll see them everywhere. UTM source equals, UTM medium equals, UTM campaign equals. Of course, the first parameter is escaped by a question mark. The subsequent ones are separated by ampersands. That, because it's in the URL, analytics can see it. Analytics can see it. Let's take a closer look at that link. I'll blow it up. So there's the source, there's the medium, and there's the email. So the link also gets appended with this extra stuff. The source is the specific origin of traffic, such as a newsletter. The medium is the broader origin of traffic, such as email or paid or social or display or things like that. And the campaign is whatever you want to call that actual specific campaign. So it costs nothing and it takes seconds, but every email that you send that has a link back to your website, you should first put it in a tool like this. This is one we built. There's a link to it down here. This is our campaign builder. It's just a tool that appends those extra things to the end of a link. It's not magical. It takes seconds. When you get into this, you'll obsess over it. It's really fun to measure. So take that link and it will put in for you, type in the campaign source, choose the medium from this radio buttons, because there aren't that many. We built ours to force you to choose one, and then the campaign name. So it just puts all those at the end of the link. Then you click copy URL. Our tool will force everything to be lowercase, and it will preview down here at the bottom what that report will actually look like in analytics, the campaign name and the source medium. Here are my naming. Here are some naming conventions for choosing these things. Like for an email, some people use the source as the brand that sent the email, like MailChimp, if you'd like. The campaign name. These are, and you can use these for other things like Facebook ads. Yeah, definitely campaign track an ad. You're buying traffic. You want to know what kind of engagement you got on the website after they clicked. Or for a Twitter campaign, cost per thousand Twitter. So this is, these are ways to, these are just standards that you can borrow and use as, so that these reports will show it up. We'll show that. Lowercase letters, as I mentioned. So now this report under acquisition behavior conversion, that's definitely acquisition. In the ABC, that's going to be the A. It's where people came from. Campaign, all campaign. Now you've got campaign tracking data, right? This is, and if you send emails regularly, it'll look like this. Look, every single email has a spike in traffic. At a glance, I can see what's working, right? Which of these had attracted the most visitors. So I can see right here, each one of the campaigns exactly as I typed it into the campaign builder. Right, it's helpful not to use spaces, use dashes instead of spaces. And I can see the engagement, right? What percentage of people who clicked from any one of those emails or whatever I use that for, took action, became a lead, subscribed, donated, registered, applied, any goal, right? Any conversion goal. Okay, so that's a very, very useful report that once you start using that, you'll almost certainly like embrace that, and forever after you'll be disappointed at anyone on your team or anyone you work with who hasn't been campaign tracking. You look at their account, you're like, oh, you know, you're doing email marketing, right? I can't find your email data. Oh, you're not using campaign tracking code. Here, let me teach you how. I've got 10 slides that I'll show you. Seriously, steal this deck and use those in a meeting. You have my permission to take everything from this deck and use it anywhere you want. That'd be a great outcome from this event, is if you guys can apply these things even in your meetings. Okay, what phrases does this page rank for? There is a ton of analytics data, of keyword data inside analytics, but you have to have Search Console connected. Google Search Console is like a sister product to Google Analytics. It is where you get all of the data about the performance of your website in Google search. If you don't get much traffic from search, this won't be very much fun. Kyle will help you, or I could share a video that shows you how you need to connect Search Console. So if you go to Acquisition Search Console, there's 4 reports in here. It just shows you a paragraph if you haven't done it yet. You can follow this process or literally search for how to set up Google Analytics. My article and video for this rank number 4 or 5 or something. Very difficult to outrank Google for Google related key phrases in Google. They tend to win for those. But I'm doing the best I can. I call that fortress SEO. You live right outside the castle. Like they're going to win automatically. I give it to them. I can't outrank them, but I'm going to live right outside the castle. So you should be able to find it if you search for how to set up Google Analytics. When it's done, and this one, you don't have to let the data accrue. I think it'll just suck it all in. All this data is also in Google Search Console, but it's nice to use these reports. The UX in analytics is easier. So then go to landing pages. This is every page that has appeared in Google search results. Click on it. Clicking is called drilling down. When you click on it, it's going to bring you to a page that shows you every phrase that page ranks for and an estimate of how high it ranks. This is all the phrases you rank for and how high you rank. People complain, oh, there's no data in Google Analytics, no keyword data. Yeah, there is. It's just in Search Console. It's not in the all traffic report anymore. All that data is so-called not provided because when people do searches, when they, when they get, searches are encrypted now, right? It's HTTPS. If your search results page is HTTPS, Google's not going to share that with the website owner. Okay, so now my tips from this, my takeaways are very powerful. This is the most reliable SEO win that I know of. 20 years of SEO, this is my fastest way to get results for anybody. It's to go find phrases for which that page almost ranks high, like you rank like an 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or somewhere on page 2, and then go make it a better page. Make it reconsider the targeting if it was ranking accidentally. Maybe change the content a bit so that it focuses on that key phrase by using that phrase in the title and header. And just make sure that article uses all those phrases you saw in that report. And then ultimately just go make it a better article. Add detail, add length, add answers, add statistics, contributor quotes, examples, data, video, diagrams, insights, anything that you can that makes that thing better. If you didn't make the best page if you didn't make one of the top 10 pages on the internet, you have no right to rank. That's how I think of it. That's my obsession with quality. I think all SEOs should be obsessed with quality. Google famously has 2,000 math PhDs on staff. If you didn't make one of the best pages on the internet, there's 2,000 math PhDs trying to stop you. If you made one of the best pages on the internet, there's 2,000 math PhDs trying to help you. They're smarter than me. I want their help. I'm trying to align my content with Google's goal of delivering relevance and that visitors' information needs. Next, what are they looking for on your own website? Okay, Andy, I hate it. I hate SEO. I'm annoyed by it. I don't believe in SEO. What about SEO for your own search tool on your own website? You are cool with that, I hope. So if you have a search tool on your website, this could be quite insightful. If you don't have a search box or search tool, no site search, it's called. If you don't have site search on your website, then this is just academic, but bear with me. Travel site. Travel site has a search tool. There is a report in analytics that will show me what people typed into that little box if I set it up. For this one, I'm going to click through the setup steps. So this is, it's under view settings. So there's accounts, properties, and views. Accounts like grandpa, properties are the parents, views are like the children. They're sort of nested. And views are just it's a look into analytics based on some settings. You have to set things up. So in the view settings, you just have to toggle site search tracking to be on. And then you have to enter what's called the query parameter. The query parameter sounds esoteric. It's really not. Just go use your own search tool and then look at the URL. And if you see the word you searched for in the URL, you'll see the query parameter right before it. Search _ term is the query parameter for this page. Google's query parameter is Q. If you ever bothered to look at the parameters, the string of parameters at the top of a Google search string. So then go put that query parameter into that little box, search term. Cool. Click save. And then you got to let data accrue. So it may take some time. If it's already set up, you're ready. It's like a cooking show. I'm popping it out of the oven. Look, it's already done. So this is a behavior report. ABC, acquisition, behavior conversion, site search. That's what visitors did on the site. So that's definitely going to be in the behavior reports. Site search, search terms. This is a list of everything people searched for. Magic. This is one of only 3 places I know in all the internet where your audience is literally typing on a keyboard what they want from you. They're telling you what their information needs are. Not very many. It's a great opportunity. They'd prefer not to have to type. Your navigation, clear navigation should make your site search tool less popular because people prefer to tap or click than move the 1,000 miles from their mouse to the keyboard. It's like so much work to have to type on it. People are just sort of in a rush all the time. Anyway, people search for these phrases. Now here's a trick. I'm going to add data to this report from a different report. This first column here is called the primary dimension. These other columns are called metrics. That's all. The only thing inside analytics are dimensions and metrics. Dimensions are more or less the names of the reports, right? Like this is a search terms report. The dimension here is search terms. That's the primary dimension. I can add another dimension by clicking on this little drop down. There's combinations of primary and secondary dimensions that cause insights to jump out at you. For example, what is the exit page that people leave from this? What's the last page people visit on this website? When I add that to this, you can tell people that search for Bonaire left from the Bonaire site, left from the Bonaire page. People search for Guatemala left from the Guatemala page. But people who search for packing list left from the search results page. That means they're not finding it. Another clue, look over here, just search exits. I don't even have to do that. The search exits show me. They search for something and then left from the search results page. This I call like the report of broken dreams. It's a list of ways in which your website is unsatisfying to your visitor. Data-driven empathy. They wanted this, you didn't give it to them. So another clue is sometimes the page they searched from. If you just do that same report, different account, and add the, a lot of people are looking for something, from where are they searching for that? Add start page, and you can see they all had the same page. I covered it up because this is a client. So those are the pages that are unsatisfying in that specific way. This often happens because people just call things whatever they want to call it rather than calling it what the audience cares about, such as excavation and earth moving. What's that? No, bulldozers. The audience keeps searching for bulldozers. Call it a bulldozer. That's what they think it is. It's not about what we want to call things. It's about what they, we got to speak to our audience on their terms, obviously. So go search for every phrase you see in that report and go look at the search results, right? Every one of them out, bang through each one. Do you have a page on that topic that's not ranking, right? You have a packing list, but it's called what to bring. Damn it, we got to rename that page packing list. Optimize your own pages to rank for your own search tool on your own website. And if you didn't have a packing list, go make a packing list. Your audience is telling you they want a packing list. And again, people may not even want to have to search for stuff. Is your site broken? Is it working in every browser? Well, if you got fancy programming, it might be a problem for a certain browser. If your site's just a simple set of pages with very few other interactions, it's probably not a big deal. But there is a rare example of when I get insights from the audience reports. Audience Technology Browser OS shows me every browser that people use on this website. I can see the bounce rate, and some browsers have a higher bounce rate than others. Let's switch to the comparison view up here. Why do these browsers have higher bounce rates? Is something wrong with the site in those browsers? Go check. Browser compatibility testing is a huge hassle. We have to have a bunch of old devices and emulators all over this office. I've got 12 full-time programmers that have to deal with this stuff. But actually, I can look at analytics for any account and quickly see sometimes, find a clue of like what might be wrong. Here's an example of one that literally is worth tens of millions of dollars to the client once we figured it out. Quick disclaimer, we did not program this website. We weren't responsible for the issue. We designed it and they had a fancy ERP system. They built it on some site core, a tool we don't use. And then I was helping them with analysis after it went live. Most popular browser on the internet is Chrome, but it has a much lower than expected e-commerce conversion rate, like a lot lower than expected. That's weird. So I click to go down into Chrome and I drilling down, click on Chrome. Now I see each browser version. There are two versions of Chrome that basically have like awful conversion rates. Now, this is a page that should have an e-commerce conversion rate in the normal range, like 1.5%. For that browser, it's 0.05. Look at the revenue. Millions, tens of millions of dollars. This is only a quarterly, right? It was literally costing them like probably $10 million a year. All we had to do was to when we checked it, there was like an autocomplete dropdown that was blocking the next step. And then we put Hotjar on it, watch screen recordings. People were rage clicking on the side trying to get out of this and it wouldn't work. The site was broken. It was broken. So just check your site to see if some have higher bounce rates than others. Check to see if some browser versions have higher bounce rates or maybe lower conversions than others. I'm gradually getting fancier and more complex. This is a way to use event tracking. to track to see something like how do visitors exit the site? Specifically, what social media icons are our visitors clicking on? If you've got Google Tag Manager, it's possible to set up event tracking without any special help from a programmer. And event tracking tracks things that are non-page view interactions. By default, analytics tracks people as they move from page to page to page. Because by default, analytics is just JavaScript sitting on pages. It's in the code. When that part of the code loads, triggers the JavaScript. JavaScript reads from and writes to cookies on that person's browser, reports it to Google Analytics mothership, which is a giant spaceship floating above us. Probably not. But if you want to track something that's not a page view, people moving from page to page, things like scrolling, using a drop down, exiting the website, watching a video. These are all things that you can track through event tracking. It's for tracking things that are non-page view interactions, such as exit clicks on these. So in Tag Manager, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click to create a new tag. I'm going to call it offsite clicks, Google Analytics event offsite clicks. I'm using a nice little naming convention. The tag type is an analytics tag, of course, and it's an event. So the event tag, events always have categories, actions, and labels. I know I'm going quickly. You're getting these slides. I also have a video that shows you exactly how to do this. So there's a variable that lets you set the click URL. I'm going to make click URL the label. And that variable needs to be configured. So here's a quick step first. Go to variables, click configure, and choose click URL. Why on earth you have to do that? It makes no sense to me. Why wouldn't Google just enable that one? Like that's like a fundamental thing. So now you've got your tag set up. The tag takes effect when it's triggered. When is this tag triggered? It's an offsite link click. When it's triggered on clicks, whenever the click URL doesn't contain my website. That's it. It's an event with a category, action, and label. The label is the event, the URL they clicked on. That event is triggered when someone clicks on a link that does not have that is not for my URL, not for my domain. Now click publish. You're done. That sounded complicated. If you're not familiar with Tag Manager or with event tracking, just go back and watch this once more in slow motion. Ask someone like Kyle for help, or I'll share with you the video that shows you how to do that. Once it's done, in the behavior report, events, there's a section for events. When I go to that page, I'm on the home page, it shows me what percentage of people took those 4 exit clicks. Let me overlay it. I'm using Snagit for my screen markup. Overlay it, and I can see exactly what percentage of people. And you begin to conclude that every interaction on your website is sort of like a user feedback mechanism. It's like a poll. It's like a live poll to find out what people really want. And a takeaway from that is like, why the heck do you have so many social media icons high on your page? Are these useful? Are people clicking on those? What a weird idea. Why do people put big exit signs at the top of their home pages? If I was an architect, I built a site, I built a store for you, and you walk into the store when it's done, and I put huge exit signs right at the top of the entry point. Like, you'd be like, dude, why would you do that? You're a bad architect. Yet people do it on websites all the time. I do not understand why people make it so easy. They're like encouraging people to leave. I wouldn't do that unless your site was so bad that, you know, you could give people a better experience over there on Pinstagram. It's a joke. I know it's not called Pinstagram. So anyway, remove social icons that don't get clicked, and maybe go get active, double down on the social networks that your visitors are leaving and going to. Moving right along. Which of your web pages is unsatisfying? If you've got an FAQ page and that is in the main navigation, this will be really interesting. If you don't have an FAQ page, bear with me. I'm of the belief that people take action on websites when they get a sufficient amount of information. They come with a question. Our job is to answer that question. If any unanswered question reduces conversions. People have information needs. Our job as web designers and as content copywriters is to satisfy for X, solve for people's problems. They ask, our job is to answer. So really, ideally, if there's not the pages satisfy information needs, the visitor doesn't have to click and leave and go to an FAQ page. I don't like FAQ pages generally because, you know, the page's job is to anticipate their information needs and to answer them in the flow. FAQ is kind of not ideal, but cool bit of analysis if you've got one. Just go to the all pages report, search for FAQ to make sure you find your FAQ page. When you drill down on that page, you can once again go to the navigation summary and see which page is sending people to FAQ. Again, another report of broken dreams. each of these pages must have information gaps on it. Why would the person who's on this page about marketing operations leave and go to the FAQ page? It's because this page is lacking some important information. Visitors don't want to have to click around and find the whole story. So ask yourself, if those FAQ pages, if those pages are missing, right? If the FAQ frequently asked questions are missing from those pages, I should rewrite this. And so what other questions are people asking? Another fun trick is if you have an FAQ page that has expandable content areas, like clickable questions, like accordions, then you can add, not analytics, it's a paid tool. It's called Hotjar. It's a click heat map tool, and it will show you, watch this, exactly what people are clicking on. Guess what? Some of your frequently asked questions are rarely asked. Nobody's asking them, right? It's like nobody cares about that question. It's not frequently asked. I made an assumption. I wasn't using data-driven empathy. I was just making stuff up. Oh, I think people have this question. Do they really? So anyway, if you add Hotjar to that page, Hotjar, by the way, can be added super quickly using Tag Manager. Mostly that's what Tag Manager is. It's a tool for containing marketing tracking codes. So you can add Hotjar and Tag Manager, set it up so that it's listening on that page. That page is now going to start reporting to you. The Hotjar will report to you where people clicked on that page, and you can see which gets clicked on a lot and what never gets clicked on. So then you can take those top asked questions and move them over to the most relevant pages, making those pages more interesting, more useful, better able to answer questions. Similarly, videos can be tracked. Video views can be tracked. So I know I'm getting more advanced. This is actually relevant to so many websites. Very few people that I know are tracking video play interactions. So if you've got YouTube videos, it's especially easy. If you've got Google Tag Manager, I'm going to show you how to create event tracking for video views. Okay, here's a page. Page has a video. Anybody clicking on that video? I don't know. I'm going to find out. So there are more pre-built variables inside Tag Manager. So you go there and click configure, and there's a bunch of them in video. Just turn them all on. Why aren't they all turned on by default? Why do you have to turn these things on and off? Tag Manager is built to be efficient and only use things if you need them. So why not just enable all the variables for us? Google, anyone from Google on this? They never listen to me. Actually, on all these years, I don't know anybody from Google. Anyway, triggers. So I'm going to add a new trigger. I'm starting with the trigger this time. There's no order. This trigger is called a YouTube video, and that is one of the pre-built variables. It's a pre-built trigger. So now you've got the, I'm not going to explain all this. You've got the screenshot now. I'm on slide 147. So I know I'm covering a lot of stuff. This is basically the settings that you can do that works for me. I'm not even doing all this type of analysis, but I set it up this way from the person I learned from. And then I'm going to create a trigger for my tag, save my trigger. Then I'm going to make a tag for these. This is another event. And as we said, analytics event. Events have categories, actions, and labels. This is the category. I'm just going to call it video view. That's actually the only thing I'm going to be using from this. So the rest of it is maybe nothing for us to worry about. Non-interaction hit, when we make that true, then we're not going to, then this event won't affect our bounce rates. When non-interaction hit is false, that means that this event affects your bounce rate. A bounce is technically a one-hit session, as in a one-hit visit, as in only once on that person's visit did the website send any information to Google Analytics. So if you should set all of your non-interaction hits to be true if you don't want events to change the definition of bounce on your website. Anyway, bounces are not as important as people think they are in my view, unless you're doing paid advertising, in which case it's a blood sport and bounce rates are life and death. Okay, I'm going to add a trigger now to my new event. So there it is. I'm done. I save the tag. And now when I go back, there it is. You have to submit the container back to your website. And now when I go back to Google Analytics, I can see, did people play that video? I'm not just going to go to the events view yet. I want to make a segment to compare people who did and didn't watch. So segments are here at the top. Segments are a way to see just a subset of your visitors. I want to see people who watched the video. So I click to add a segment. It's going to be a new segment. And the only kind of, my last article was a video about how to use segments. It gives 5 different examples. The only way that I know how to make segments is to click conditions. I know there's some pre-built ones. I don't even know what this other stuff is. I just always use conditions. because it's like filters. All you do is say sessions to include when the event category contained video view. That's just what I typed in a minute ago. If the event category contains video view, I want to see just those people, and I'm calling them video watchers. Look, it's less than 1% of my total visitors. So the next step I take here is I'm going to make another one for video no watchers. Clever name. I want to start them both with the word video so I can scan through a list of segments and find them quickly. So video no watchers, awkwardly named, is the same thing, but to exclude when the event category contains video view. Hey, it doesn't add up to 100%. Not surprised, never surprised. Analytics is just weird. There's no consistency. It's never perfectly accurate. In fact, it's never accurate. 100% of the data in analytics is wrong. There's no accurate data in analytics because some visitors don't accept cookies. Everything's underreported. There's all kinds of weird things. I don't care if it's weird. I don't care if it's partly wrong. I only need it to be accurate insofar as I want to make a good decision. So don't expect, if you're of the personality type that keeps searching for like more and more accurate information because maybe you like to do reporting, it's going to be frustrating for you. You're just looking for enough insight to take an action and see if you can make a difference, because that action is what affects your marketing, not the reports, not Google Analytics. Anyway, so you're going to see the impact here of my video, watchers versus no watchers. I've got them lined up here. And when I go to that landing page report in analytics, I didn't even go to the event section. I just went to behavior, site content, landing pages. So I'm looking at this page when it was the landing page, as in the first page of the visit. And here I can see them separately. I'm going to zoom in for you. 10% of my visitors to that page watch that video. Visitors who watch it are 20% less likely to leave before seeing a subsequent page. They spend 3.5 times as much as many seconds on that page. And they turn into subscribers. That's the only conversion on that page. They convert at a 350% rate. That is the impact of video on that page. That helps me plan my budgets, allocate resources. These things, the average video in our YouTube channel takes me like 4 to 5 hours to make. Is that worth it? Yes. I'm going to say yes. I can see the impact here, right? And I can also answer the question, where did that video get traction? On our site or on YouTube? Could it, otherwise, that's unknowable, right? All you get is the total number of views. You can't see views here versus there. And also, I can ask myself, do I have other pages that are maybe high bounce rate or low time on page where I could boost engagement by adding a video? Could I improve the play rate with a better thumbnail? Great video thumbnails have both a human face and a headline. Egan just finally got here. I love that. That's just never too late. But then I realized that I could probably increase the play rate on these video thumbnails if I were to not look like I'm in a basement. Look at how dim that looks. I always look tired. I'm tired. I told you I have little kids, but I look tired and I look like I'm in a dark room. Compare me to the competitors, right? These guys have figured it out. So I'm going to, there's one more tip in here, but it's like super complex. I guess I'll do it. We have just enough time. So if you want to answer the question, this is fun for content marketers. Which of your articles inspires visitors to subscribe? If you've got a call to action to subscribe on your content, then you can do this little bit of analysis that will show you if people who come to these pages are then filling out the subscribing. It's a hassle, and I have to use some fancy techniques here because there isn't one report that shows us. There is a report for reverse goal path, which shows me what people were doing before they hit the thank you page. So the people who read these articles then made it to the thank you page. Good, these articles must be compelling, right? But at what rate are they compelling? Well, I get the total number of conversions, 95 people who saw that article then subscribed. That sounds pretty good, right? This one's 74 people who read that article then subscribed. Sounds not as good. But actually that's misleading because this page may have had 10 times as many views, in which case this page has a higher conversion rate, the percentage of people. Which of these is the better mousetrap? I don't know until I've done this bit of analysis. So I need to take the number of goal completions with the unique page views to each of those pages. Look, I'm in different reports. Here I'm in a conversion section report. Here I'm in a behavior section report. So it's a calculated metric. Now, you can do it on a spreadsheet. And for years, I did this every 3 months on a spreadsheet to find my most compelling content, right? Now I'm doing it with, I'm not doing it manually. I'm going to use a Google Sheets add-on for Google Analytics and a VLOOKUP. I'm bad at this. I'm just going to click through quickly so you can see. First, you need to add the add-on, which is not called Flubaroo. What the heck is Flubaroo? I'm going to finally look that up one day. It's like this big thing on my slide. Who are you, dude? So I'm going to create a report. I'm going to add analytics. I'm going to create a report and tell it which report I want from which account, property, and view. This is goal completions for goal previous step 1. And then I'm going to get a different one for unique page views. The dimension is the page. The metric is unique page views, right? Metrics and dimensions. So then you run the report and it grabs them all. If you don't get enough data, just change the start date to longer ago. Low traffic website, no problem. Go back and get more data. It'll be skewed by, of course, publishing, but conversion rate should still be quite accurate. So it runs the reports. And then since I'm bad at Excel, there's probably people here who are good at Excel, or just call Kyle. It's fun that Kyle's a pro and we know him and he's a friend. Kyle will do all this for you. He knows exactly how to do this stuff. So then what I'm going to do is make it on a new tab. I think I could have made it on the same tab if I really knew how to use Excel. I'm going to suck in the data from those 2 other tabs and then do a VLOOKUP to kind of deduplicate that one column to show me just the page views. So there is the VLOOKUP. Look, my wife helped me with this. I'm bad at this. I'm bad at math. So then I can divide page views by the conversions when that page was goal previous step 1 and see the conversion rate. I love this report because it shows you what you've published that was how inspiring, that was how helpful, that got people to take an action, that got them to move that 1,000 miles from their mouse to the keyboard and give you their email address. Like that's trust, right? That's a big commitment. Who needs more email? Most people do not want more email. Some people are saying, look at this, 3% of people or 1% of people here, I'll graph it. These articles are like way more compelling than the others. Again, another exponential curve, right? I found unicorns, not donkeys. I found blue shirts, not red shirts. These top posts convert at like twice the rate as like number 6. Number 6 converts at twice the rate as number 12. There's like 400 articles on this website. And look at the drop off. Most of these get 0, like nothing. So I made this slide to show how I feel about that. Now you can run it's all built in, it's done, right? I check mine every Monday. It just runs the report for you, right? There's a little bit of filtering I have to do every time, but in the end, the insight's quite valuable. Are you promoting your top performing content? You just found your best mousetraps. Maybe you could publish more on those topics. And maybe take your best cheese, which are your highest traffic pages. That was the very first report we did, right? I called it a warm-up. Your blog posts that attract the most visitors. I finished with the blog posts that convert the greatest percentage of visitors into subscribers. Just a link, just a call to action to guide people from your best cheese to put your best cheese on your best mousetraps. The hard part was figuring out which was the best cheese and best mousetrap. But once you're done, there's like a 5-minute exercise that will get you better results. Like it takes 0 cost, almost no time and $0. Very effective. So if you want to put these things on put them back in heavy social rotation, put them back on your homepage, send them again as an email, put them in your email signature, put on your traffic driving gloves, 11 ways to drive traffic. You can drive traffic to any post you want, right? You built a social network over many years. You can at least use that. So these are the pages that are worthy of your of more promotional efforts. So what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next year, you're going to be in a meeting and it's going to be opinion versus opinion, and the highest paid opinion will win. That's inevitably the case, right? The highest paid person's opinion will dominate because it was opinion versus opinion. 2 people's preference, it's not a good conversation. It's not a good meeting. Somebody should have brought some data to this meeting. There's a meme I made years ago and keep using. Never bring an opinion to a data fight. It's kind of a Chicago reference, right? It's like history. I like that. Like Elliot Ness and Sean Connery, these are like this. Despite the fact that Kevin Costner's in it, we'll forgive them for that. So in the end, Kyle probably touched on this. I recommend that there's literally a line that separates beginners from more advanced users. It's that line right there. That line, beginners click on the left, and people who are looking for deeper insights, people who know more about what they're doing, more advanced users, click on the right. This is exactly what we did today. We use segments. We used filters. We used secondary dimensions. We clicked to drill down. The more clicks you do on the right of that line, the more likely you are to find insights, right? Aggregate data, it's like are just averages, average reports for average marketers. Experts, true experts, don't even use analytics. They just suck the data out of analytics and they do it all in Google Data Studio or in Google Sheets. So where are we going to click? We're going to click on the right. If this wasn't Zoom, we'd all be in a room and we'd say it together. We'd toast to clicking on the right. Craft marketing. My last tip for you is to go to LinkedIn and make sure that you've got Google Analytics as a skill. And if you think that you're not good enough at analytics to add that as a skill, my question for you is, compared to who? You are. Just from this session, you know more than most marketers, no doubt, no question in my mind, right? Just follow these steps. Make sure that you've got analytics in there as a skill. It's one of the most sought after and one of the most missed, one of the biggest opportunities. Add it as a skill, connect with each other here in this event, go endorse each other for those skills because now you have leveled up. That's what I've got for you. We left 90 seconds for questions. I'll stop sharing. That's what I had for you today.
That's it?
That's it. That's what I got. We could go longer.
Could we have another 200 slides, please?
I have many more than that.
Andy, can you slam a beer and do that same presentation again?
We used to do it with Malort,
Oh.
Chicago style, when Greg was down here.
Oh, God.
I know, the polarizing beverage. The point is that it's bad, right? You're trying to have a shared experience. So that's why we that's how we roll.
Actually, Egan had a comment when you were showing that one slide about where you're bringing it in sheets and doing it in Data Studio. You know, couldn't you do it in Data Studio? Do you do a lot of your stuff in?
No, I really am I don't know much about Data Studio, but I met a guy who knows a lot of Data Studio and he sent me this and my mind is blown. Like, this is an SEO. This is the most beautiful SEO dashboard I've ever seen. Here's a list of phrases for which I almost rank high, striking distance. Here's a report that shows all my second page queries. His name is Noah, Noah Lerner. If anyone wants his information, I'm happy to share it. These are zero click, top of funnel, bottom of funnel. He has a report in here, a bottom of funnel report where it automatically shows you the phrases that include words indicating it's a buyer intent key phrase. Wow. Look at that. Best, top, versus, compare, view, deal, shop, finance. I mean, you might want to customize this, but so no, it's like programming, it's like HTML, it's like tag manager. I'm sort of enabled by the brilliance of the people around me. So I have yet to acquire any Data Studio skills. Good question, Egan. Thanks for bringing it up. Ask me next time, I'll have a better answer.
Yeah, we want that report, Andy, that you just showed us from Noah. That's awesome.
It is awesome. He has to set it up. He uses BigQuery with a Google Search Console connector to extract all the data from Search Console.
What was that again?
BigQuery. BigQuery is like an API connector that is used for, it's like a middleware piece for between a data source and the reporting tool.
Right. Do we have any other questions for Andy? Because he's got those two kiddos he's got to get home to. Well, there's like many accolades coming in for you, Andy, and thank you so much for taking all this time and going through at least 6,000 slides, I think you did today. And the most words per presentation that we've ever had in craft marketing.
Yeah, I feel like we did it like 1 1/4 speed, but some of that's irrelevant to many of you, right? So you're probably waiting for the next one half the time. Anyway, I've always wanted to be part of this event. This event has a fantastic reputation. It was an honor. Anytime I can help anyone with anything, here's a quick link to have a short conversation with me. Anyone's welcome to use that if they want to jump on a call someday. Just happy marketing and click on the right. That's where all the fun is.